The European Union and Kazakhstan are emerging as long-term strategic partners. The European Union is Kazakhstan's largest trading partner for Brussels. Astana is an important partner in logistics, trade and energy. As the country is undergoing a major political changes, I am pleased to be joined by the European Union Ambassador Aleška Simkić. Dear Madam Ambassador, thank you for joining us today.
Thank you for inviting me.
So first of all, my first question, let's begin with Kazakhstan's recent political overhaul. Like on Sunday, the country held its first elections to their first kurultai, and the public was choosing the entire parliament for the first time in the country's history. So my first question, so how do you assess these reforms and yes, how do you assess these reforms and how does the European Union see this as political modernization?
European Union never assesses the democratic processes in any country in a sense of how they should be in line with European values or something that sometimes we hear about it. We always look at these processes in how the country is going to move forward and how we will then be able to cooperate with this country. In Kazakhstan now, we have made, for the constitutional reform that has happened in March and the constitutional referendum, our feeling was that it went a little bit fast. Now, we have been assured by the Kazakhstan authority, of course, that that this has been a long-going process and it has now been crowned with the referendum on the new constitution. So we allow this, of course, for any country to decide on their pace of the thing. What we have perhaps would have wished to see more of is public consultations on these processes. Because if such a short time happens, then there is very little space to discuss it, to see what are the pluses, what are the minuses of this. And that's what we in our European countries would probably be demanded to. You have to allow for enough space and enough time for discussions to happen. But it's up to the country to decide on their reform processes, and we will look at it, and we are, of course, always ready to cooperate with Kazakhstan on furthering and bettering the democratization processes in their country.
I also wanted to ask your opinion on that the only parties loyal to President Tokayev could take part in the vote. And many analysts read this as the Kassym-Jomart Tokayev strategy to further consolidate his power within the country. So do you believe, what is your opinion on that, and what do you believe that the country could become a democracy without having opposition in parliament?
We have met with several of the political parties that have been running in the elections on Sunday. And several of them have told us that there is an opposition on the issues. So we will be observing now how this kurultai is going to work, how the political parties will be working. What I have noticed in the OSCE ODIHR preliminary statement on the elections is that their assessment is that there was not enough opportunity for all the parties to be registered. So that's what we will analyze more in detail now when we read the entire statement. I just heard the press release, I haven't seen the statement yet. But indeed, what we have perhaps noticed is that some individuals, and with the new constitution, new legislation, some individuals or some groups were not allowed or were not registered as such. And this is something that we will be talking to Kazakh authorities about. Let's
move on to the European and Kazakhstan relationship. So my first question, that during the recent President Tokayev visit to Brussels, the European leadership, including Ursula von der Leyen and Antonio Costa, they called Kazakhstan as I will quote, a strategic, reliable and long-term partner. So what lies behind this shift and why Kazakhstan has become so important to the European Union?
It's not the new thing. Yes, indeed, on the 23rd of June, both presidents have confirmed the fact that Kazakhstan is a strategic partner. You will also remember that there was a Samarkand summit in 2025 where the entire Central Asia as a region was considered very strategic. With Kazakhstan, we have started talking about strategic partnership already back in 2015, so way before some of the newest developments that I'm sure you will ask me about. When we signed the Enhanced Partnership and Cooperation Agreement. It's one of this European Union terminology, but it just showed that there are 29 areas where we want to cooperate and work with Kazakhstan closely, and that's what we call strategic partnership. Kazakhstan was the first of all the Central Asian countries that we signed this agreement with, and we kept working on it throughout these last 10, 11 years right now. And that made it strategic. Is reliable? Yes, because Kazakhstan actually is important for us in terms of energy security. It's important for us in terms of transport connectivity. And it's important for us on the critical raw materials, but it goes beyond that. And for Kazakhstan, the European Union is also important in trade terms. The European Union is still the largest trading partner for Kazakhstan. Yes, we need to diversify it, but it is still the case.
But do you think that these interests, European interests towards Kazakhstan, extremely increased especially after Russian full-scale invasion of Ukraine? That now, European Union started reconsider its relationship across Eurasia.
I think it was a both sides process. I think the Russian invasion has definitely changed the geopolitics of everybody and for everybody. In terms of Kazakhstan European Union and Central Asia European Union, I would say that we have seen it before. As I mentioned, we started talking about the strategic partnership back in 2015, so way before, after Crimea annexation, but before this aggressive invasion that has happened in 2022. The thing is, yes, it has been developing. I think now it became much more visible. I think both the European Union, but also Kazakhstan on the other side, have gotten some dependencies from Russia, that now with the Russian invasion, we have started to look into alternatives. And that has brought it more to the forefront. So it's not that we started it, it's not that now it picked up, it just now a little bit gradually the cooperation went just further up and became more visible, that this needs to develop further.
And my next question, so what does deeper cooperation with European Union offer Kazakhstan than its close ties with Russia and China do not?
Well, I don't always want to comment on this, but I will, because what I would always say and argue is the European Union is a reliable partner that looks at in genuine partnership. We don't put conditionality on our work together. What we need to do from our side is actually make our companies interested in Kazakhstan and Kazakhstan to become attractive to our European companies. And that's where I think our partnership will continue growing. And once the companies, because unlike probably, again, I don't want to compare with other actors, but I would say that other actors always work as kind of one country. We're talking about not necessarily as Russia, China, or Europe investing here. We're talking about European companies investing here. And that's where I think once the European companies will find this country increasingly attractive, and this is going on now, that's when we will really see about genuine partnership. That's where we are different. That's where we are reliable. That's where our country or our pressing or leverage is not the fact of EU will do this or that towards Kazakhstan. It's about companies will find the benefits and they will continue working.
And how to attract these European companies to Kazakhstan?
You will hear often Kazakh authorities talking about investment climate, and we talk about investment climate. So what we are still seeing sometimes is the issue of regulations are not necessarily very predictable. So European companies tend to like predictability. They tend to like that when they come, that they know that there is a rule of law, that they know that their investment is safe. And there's still some work to be done, and we are working on this.
Kazakhstan calls its foreign policy multi-vector. How do you think, for how long, for how much time Kazakhstan will manage to balance between Russia and European Union? Because as we saw previously during the last elections in Armenia, which now is trying to deepen its cooperation with the European Union, that Kremlin started using economic and political pressure. Do you fear that something similar might happen in Kazakhstan, as Kazakhstan shares a vast border with Russia?
Multi-vector foreign policy is, I think, a very good solution for Kazakhstan in the current geopolitical circumstances. They cannot change the borders, they cannot change the neighborhood. European Union is one of the vectors in this multi-vector foreign policy. We want it to be stronger. We want it also to be the one that is really going in the same direction with Kazakhstan. We are not aiming, and I think nobody is aiming, or neither does Kazakhstan aim to replace anybody. It just wants to work as friends with all of its partners. And we also want to work in partnership. If somebody sometimes says European Union will want to replace Russia or China in this or that, I think we all have our own interests, and we just have to have the level playing field so that we all can fit there. And Kazakhstan is trying to make this effort. I think that at some point this multi-vector foreign policy may become challenging, because it's easy to say I will be friend with everybody and I will listen to everybody, but when these two vectors have extremely different positions, then Kazakhstan will have to look into which one it will take in order not to make the other one angry.
But You know, I'm very curious because recently in this newly adopted constitution, there is a change, amendment regarding Russian language, that the status of Russian language was downgraded, which is no longer equal to Kazakh one. And recently we heard that President Tokayev, he also told directly to Putin that it's time to end his war in Ukraine. So my question is, do you see a signs that Kazakhstan is shifting away a little bit from Russia, from Russian sphere?
You know, as a European, I would like to see that. Looking at it from the Kazakh point of view, I think they're really trying to beef up the Kazakh national pride with the language, with their history, which they have a very strong and rich history that is not only Soviet history, which sometimes in the European minds we remember Kazakhstan in that sense, but they are, you will also hear the president and the authorities promoting this very, very ancient history that is quite rich of Kazakhstan and of Central Asia as a whole. You will also see much more regional cooperation between Central Asian countries. And this all shows that there is this interest of these countries becoming genuinely independent. And in that sense, that's how I see their policy right now as regards the constitution, as regards their relationship with Russia, relationship with Europe, with the United States, if you wish, with China, with all other partners.
And my last question, how do you see Kazakhstan and Kazakhstan's politics in 5 years?
I think they will try to keep the multi-vector foreign policy. It remains to be seen how this new constitution is going to. Let's see how it will be implemented, because there are some concerns that we had with regard to the constitution, with regard to the human rights, and I would like to see that the trajectory of Kazakhstan in terms of respecting the human rights, respecting the rule of law, will continue in a positive direction. Maybe not as fast as we would like it to see. It's not going now, sometimes even going a little bit downwards. So I would hope that in 5 years' time I can say, yes, the level of human rights, the rule of law, the level of political democratic process has gone up.
Is there a possibility that we can see Kazakhstan with European Union, as a European Union member?
You know, sometimes it's a bit of a joke. It's not, but it's actually quite serious one. As you know, Kazakhstan is proud of its 4% of its territory being Europe, the western part of Kazakhstan. Often they say that part of Kazakhstan is bigger than 15 European Union member states. Poland is not one of them, but there are others. So I think that there is. I don't see them in the European Union or in that kind of, but strong partnership with the European Union by all means.
Madam Ambassador, thank you for being with us today. And that's all for now. Thanks for watching and stay tuned for TVP World for more.